So this is a theory talk. So if I'm honest, much of the theory behind how Taco works is stuff that I'd prefer not to talk about, because the more I talk about it, the less of a mystery it is, and it loses some of its magic. Not real magic, there's no such thing as that, but something which, it loses its mystery. The more a magician never reveals his secrets, and this is kind of the equivalent of a social magic trick. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to imbue things with meanings, right? So let's go back a bit. Let's go back historically in psychology and philosophy. We're going to go to a guy called Immanuel Kant. So Immanuel Kant is considered the first psychologist. He came up with a theory of philosophy called Abstract Idealism. He thought, okay, wait a second, maybe we don't have thoughts, maybe thoughts have us. And where are these thoughts exactly coming from? And his thing was that they were things coming from the environment into us, and that was mapped onto into our consciousness somehow, right? That's abstract idealism. We don't think, things think us. And the clearest example of this I can think of is the difference between visiting a castle in a European country which does not have an existing monarchy and going to a castle in Britain. So the United Kingdom, they have an active monarchy. They've got their princes, they've got the king, they had the queen, and everyone, people who see these characters, I've often heard people who aren't even monarchists, people who are devout Republicans, they'll meet these people, they'll see them come through, and it will be a special experience to them. They will feel as if, like they say, like it's having like an otherworldly experience or something. Otherworldly might be an exaggeration, but it's an experience imbued with a meaning of some kind. The experience of seeing the royals, being part of the interacting with their places, their palaces, these things, it provides a value which dead castles do not, right? And that's why a large amount of tourism in the United Kingdom can be attributed to the existence of the royal family. I doubt the United Kingdom will ever remove their royal family and become a republic, because if they did, they'll lose out on all this tourism, and they'll lose out on the benefits of having alive castles and having this massive tourist attraction. And to an extent, that is what I am. So that's the most direct way I can describe it. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to imbue social stories into different characters in the Taco project. So, and this allows me to create a narrative and a story, an ideology, which I can communicate to people. And through this, I hope to be able to direct political action. Right? I want these social stories attached to these different characters to be stories that we can, create a sort of like a Bible from. And there's an understanding that there is no claim to being a deity or having otherworldly powers or anything like that in it. I don't pretend to be speaking for the divine or anything crazy like that. But that's how I want it to function. So that's why I have this idea of Kamari. These are specific characters which I'm trying to imbue. Now this is very interesting because there's two different definitions of the word fetish, right, which I'll use at different times. There's a sexual fetish, and there's also the fetish which has a Freudian meaning. So a fetish in Freudian psychoanalysis, and by extension Lacanian psychoanalysis, which is the tradition which I am developing within, they have this idea that there are objects which are imbued with meaning. They use the term spirit, but that's because the concept comes from, cultures in Papua New Guinea, islander cultures, and they'll have physical objects where they'll believe that a spirit is inside the object. This is different from the idea of an idol, which is symbolic of the deity, but the idea is that the object physically has the spirit in it, and to hold or interact with that object in a ritual provides the person who's interacting with that object a spiritual experience, which they describe. Now, I don't believe there is an actual otherworldly spiritual thing there, but there is definitely an experience which is imbued and thought by that object to the person. Like when people go to Mecca, they have religious experiences, and in my opinion, the religious experience of being a Muslim and being a Christian, they might have similar characteristics, but they are distinct and different. Right? And that's what I'm trying to communicate with this part of the project, and it's also something I need to communicate because my enemies, they they can't do this, right? They don't know what I'm doing, and I've got a lot of people who would love it if I was an idiot, but I'm not. There's theory behind what this is going on here, and when this project reaches a point where I can step back a bit and get more into my books, this is going to be my PhD subject, was how I created Taco and how I was able to guide and direct it. Right? Have a good one, everyone.